You know the type, that person you try to help, but it's like talking to a brick wall. You give them perfectly good advice and they just shut down. Their mind feels totally unconquerable. But why does this happen? Well, the reason is probably not what you think.
I mean, it's a fascinating question, isn't it? The second they hear a command, no matter how tiny, you can almost physically see a wall go up. It's this instant, automatic pushback. So, what's really going on inside their head? Now, the easy label we all jump to is simple. They're just stubborn, or maybe defiant. But the truth? Oh, the truth is so much deeper and way more interesting than that. See, we're not just looking at some simple character flaw here. What we're actually seeing is a powerful combination of five pretty rare psychological traits, a kind of mindset that is literally hardwired for radical independence. It all kicks off with one fundamental, overwhelming driving force. Look, all of us have a need for autonomy, right? We like to feel in control. But for these individuals, it's not just a preference, it's a core psychological need. It's this absolute feeling that they, and only they, are the captain of their own ship. So when you give them a command, it isn't just an instruction, it's perceived as a direct threat to their entire sense of independence, to their very identity. That resistance you're seeing, that's just a defense mechanism, protecting a core part of who they are. And this powerful need for autonomy, it triggers an immediate, almost primal reaction whenever it's threatened. Which, of course, brings us to the second trait. You can think of this as a kind of built-in pushback button in the brain. It's an instinctive impulse to reestablish freedom the very second it feels like it's being taken away. It's not really a conscious choice, it's more like a psychological reflex. Just think about that for a second. The desire to not do something becomes stronger because they were told they had to do it. The command itself is actually what creates the pushback. But this isn't just some knee jerk reaction. No, it's rooted in the very way they process information itself. So, what might look like defiance on the surface is often just their need to analyze, to question, and to evaluate things for themselves. They aren't interested in just following orders. They want to understand the why behind it and then come to their own reasoned decision. It's really a sign of a self directed mind at work. And this independent thinking is fueled by something even deeper, a really powerful connection between the choices they make and their sense of accomplishment. These individuals, they want to own their successes and their failures. An achievement can feel kind of hollow if it just came from someone else's instructions. But when that success comes from their own decision, that sense of personal responsibility makes it feel 1,000 times more meaningful. And finally, we get to the trait that basically acts as their defense system. It explains why they can seem so acutely, almost painfully aware of being controlled. It's like they have this finely tuned radar for control. They can detect when someone is trying to dominate or manipulate a situation, even in really subtle ways. And this sensitivity means they'll resist even small commands, because to them, it's all about maintaining their personal boundaries. So when you put it all together, this deep need for autonomy, an automatic pushback against being controlled, a mind that has to think for itself, a desire for personal ownership, and a high sensitivity to power dynamics, you get something so much more complex than just stubbornness. And that's the real key here. The resistance you see, it's almost never about the task itself. It's about them defending their fundamental freedom to be the author of their own life and their own choices. And when you can shift your perspective from just judging the behavior to actually understanding the psychology behind it, well, it changes everything. You start to see the real motives and needs that drive all of us. What we casually call stubbornness is just one mask we put on these incredibly complex human motivations. So it makes you wonder, right? How many other behaviors do we totally misjudge every single day? Maybe the most fascinating discoveries aren't about understanding others, but about reevaluating everything you thought you knew.